Joe Biden's administration did pass this infrastructure package, and that includes government spending. And we could debate whether it's the type of spending that you like or that you don't like. But the deficit declined during Joe Biden's first year compared to Donald Trump's last year. In other words, spending in total, the rate at which we overspent went down in the first year of Joe Biden's presidency. Would you agree with those numbers from the Congressional Budget Office, which is nonpartisan? Not the debt. Now, remember, I know you know the difference. You're a Harvard guy. The deficit went down in Joe Biden's first year. Do you agree with those numbers, or you dispute them?
I'll need to check that because I've actually heard differing views on that. So I'd want to go back and look at numbers and see if there's any fuzzy math going on there.
As a general rule, do you dispute numbers from the Congressional Budget Office, or is that a fair source in your mind?
I think it's not so much fair or not. It's a matter of there are many ways to look at these numbers. There are different ways of calculating a deficit in terms of what you include, what don't you include. Does it come off the budget this year or next year or the year after? So I think there's lots of different ways to slice the pizza here, and I need to look at the way they're doing that to make a determination on that.
Would you agree that at least the Congressional Budget Office is doing it the same way every year? Is that at least fair? They are consistent in how they measure the deficit?
I'd have to take a look at that again and go
Wow.
back and look at their methodology to see what's the case there. But
So let me ask you this then. If you're not sure whether we can trust the numbers of the Congressional Budget Office, what numbers do you have as a basis to say that the spending is out of control?
oh, we can easily look at the amount of money the government's spending. That's a much simpler calculation there. We can easily look at inflation, CPI, and whatnot. Those are pretty standard in the way they're calculated. So we have a pretty good sense of what those numbers are.
But I think, so let's see, but the problem is you blamed the spending on the inflation. So like, for example, in this conversation, I'm agreeing with you. Inflation has been high. We're 100% on the same. There's no dispute about those numbers. You made the assertion that you believe the inflation to some degree is because the spending is out of control. I said typically we look at the Congressional Budget Office for that, and they found that the deficit was down in Joe Biden's first year of the presidency. You said you're not sure if you trust those numbers. And when I asked you, well, how do you know spending is up? You said, well, because I looked at the inflation numbers. But your first claim was the inflation numbers you believe are because spending was up. But now you're saying the inflation numbers are the spending numbers? That doesn't make sense, does it?
What doesn't make sense is high gas prices that regular people cannot afford. What doesn't make sense is I had black pastors come to me saying people in our congregation cannot afford to drive to work because gas prices are too high. What doesn't make sense is if the price of a pack of chicken or beef or whatever you're buying at the grocery store is twice as high. That certainly doesn't make sense. And so that's the problem we got to solve.
Right. We agree gas prices are high, but you made the assertion that it's because of Biden's spending, whereas gas prices are up globally. And what I'm trying to do is to make that connection. But maybe we're just not going to be able to do that.